When we look at the world as one family, the Arya Samaj message fosters a sense of global solidarity. We transcend national and cultural barriers. In international politics, this principle can promote diplomacy over conflict, collaboration over competition, and compassion over self-interest. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karvavahe, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Swami Vedanandji, our revered Purohits, Pandits that we've associated with from the time that we've come to Nairobi. Our wonderful hosts, the President and officials of Nairobi, Arya Samaj, Dr. Saini and his team, Delhi Arya Samaj, Pradhan Shri Vinay Arya. We have amidst us, and I acknowledge Mr. Bhuvanesh Khosla from Arya Samaj America and Mr. Manish Bhatia from India. But not forgetting our elders, our brothers and sisters that have been coming to the Jalsa every evening since it has started. My prayer namaste to you. The Arya Samaj was founded by Swami Dayanand Saraswati in 1875. Is a movement that advocates for a return to the teachings of the Vedas. And as a guide for ethical and social living, while it originated as a religious and reformist movement within Hinduism, its principles are rooted in promoting harmony, universal harmony, truth and righteousness that can be applied globally. Below are the principles of the Arya Samaj, focusing on how they can be incorporated for global social and political harmony by leveraging Vedic culture and heritage. And that's my topic, talking about the 10 principles of the Arya Samaj for global change and political harmony. The Arya Samaj holds the Vedas as the ultimate source of knowledge, and the Vedas which promote truth, non-violence, equality, and justice. And over the few days that we have experienced and we participated in the sacred yajnas, our learned priests have been taking us through the mantras of the Yajur Ved. And today, Panditji actually took us through Isha Vasya Midam. And one of the things that come out of Isha Vasya Midam, the mantra, is that we must not covet the wealth of others and do not exploit or to take from someone else. So these moral teachings that we look up to, and we look up to the 10 principles of the Arya Samaj, comes from the source, and that's the Vedas. And when we look at the Vedic principles, this emphasizes the importance of one, truthful leadership, and that is Satya, which can guide political systems towards greater transparency and accountability. The Vedic notion of Rita, which is natural orders, and Dharma underscores the need for societies to maintain harmony by ensuring justice and equality for all. Arya Samaj advocates rational thinking and rejects, and I know what I may say, and I use the word, may also be upsetting to many, but I'm a born and bred Arya Samajist, and this is what we say. It rejects idolatry, and complex rituals. God is seen as omnipotent, omniscient, and benevolent. It promotes universal spiritual truths over symbolic practices. This principle promotes inclusivity, transcending narrow religious or cultural boundaries, which are led by many of the Guru Panth organizations. Thus Arya Samaj is contributing to social unity and harmony. This monotheistic or this singular type of belief is formless, it's universal, and it reaches out to God to promote the idea of unity in diversity. It helps to reduce religious strife and fostering respect for different faiths and traditions. So the universal approach of the Arya Samaj, we are not bogged down to symbolism, but we have an universal approach to our belief patterns. And this aligns with the goal of peace in a society that has many belief patterns. And by promoting these universal values of spiritual wisdom, Arya Samaj encourages, and we spoke about it today, interfaith dialogue and respect for different belief systems, helping to diminish religious conflicts in the world that often disrupts in violence and not having peace in certain parts. When we talk about promoting truth or satya, Samaj places truth as the highest moral principle. Social and political systems are built on truth, and honesty can create stable, just, and prosperous societies. In a world increasingly divided by misinformation and political deceit, the Samaj emphasizes that Satya can encourage political accountability and the pursuit of truth in public life. This fosters a climate of trust and cooperation between nations and within societies. We read about political parties, we read about political movements, we read about political beliefs. They all have the best strategies and the best principles. But at the end, if there isn't any truth that prevails in those organizations, then it's failure. Samaj believes in the equality of all human beings. We reject caste-based discrimination and gender inequality. It advocates for the upliftment of the oppressed and the establishment of a just and equitable social order. The movement advocates for the inherent equality of all individuals, regardless of caste, regardless of race or gender, which mirrors contemporary human rights values enshrined in the United Nations Charter. This has been done since 1875, so it tells you the vision of Swami Dayanand and his visionary outlook towards treating every individual equally. And in the context of global social harmony, this emphasis on equality is critical for combating social discrimination and injustice. When we refer to the Rig Veda, Mandala 10 highlights the value of collective action and unity, and the words are Sanghachadvam, Samvadatvam, Samvomanansi Janatam. Let us move together, let us speak together, and let our minds work in harmony together. The verse reflects the idea that unity and equality is essential for social and political stability, encouraging a global society where justice and equal rights prevail for all. And this principle can serve as a powerful tool for social reform on a global scale, addressing issues such as racial inequality, gender discrimination, and socio-economic disparities, the differences that we experience in our close-knit communities. The focus on human dignity and universal equality can foster one, working together as families, working together as samajas, working together as society. So this social cohesion can exist. We can reduce conflict in our own organizations. We can reduce conflicts in our own families, and then we can take it out into the greater community and promote inclusive development. I come from a country that was steeped in racial discrimination. We were born into apartheid, and we know what it is like to live in a society where you were treated as a second-class citizen. We know what it was like to be given an inferior education. We know what it was like when we couldn't even sit on a stool or a bench in the middle of the city because it said it was for whites only. So when we say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, we must look at everyone as one big happy family. Arya Samaj emphasizes the importance of education as a means of self-improvement and social upliftment. And this goes without saying that since 1875, and when we look at the history of the Arya Samaj, it wasn't just something that was enshrined in the principles, but it was translated into practical, because we have the schools, the vidyalays, the ashrams that were like Gurukul Kangadi and various other gurukulas that have been established in India, Mauritius, and other centers that have produced great minds and great scholars. And when we come to our own doorstep here in Nairobi, Arya Samaj Nairobi has been responsible for working towards empowerment and education. And that is by having schools, your preschool that you have built, high schools that you have built, with the intention that knowledge is power and an enlightened society is peaceful and harmonious. Samaj advocates for social reforms such as women's education. We must not go back into an archaic time, back into time and say, like some of the states beyond the borders of India, where women are not even allowed to go into school and they're persecuted. We are not like that. We say that women should be given equal education. We are saying that widows should remarry and the abolition of child marriage should be there. Education, according to Arya Samaj, is the key to both individual and social progress. And in the global context, promoting education can help eradicate ignorance, which often fuels social and political discord. And we've seen it practically. You've seen illiterate people that come into an urban environment and how they are exploited because they were not educated. You see women that come and work as slaves in homes because they were not educated. So education is a key to uplift society, and Arya Samaj believes in that. We speak about the illumination that knowledge brings, and we say, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead us from darkness to light. The dissemination of knowledge as envisioned by the Arya Samaj aligns with modern efforts to promote literacy, critical thinking, and equality of opportunity, which are essential for fostering harmony in our societies. Promoting universal education in line with the Arya Samaj ideals can equip individuals and communities to address issues like poverty, inequality, and ignorance. We see villages in the rural areas. We see people carrying pots of water for miles on end. We see people that are sitting under a baobab tree trying to educate themselves. And we should be doing something about that and doing something to help them become more literate and understanding the ways of the world. The Vedic teachings stress the importance of intellectual development. You know, when we chant the Gayatri mantra And when we finish off, and when you say, Diyo yo na prachodayat, that means that we need our intellectual capacity to guide us in the right direction. Social welfare and service. The core tenets of Arya Samaj is the focus on seva. The movement advocates for the active participation of all individuals in serving society, helping the needy, and contributing to the overall welfare of all. I'm not being competitive here. I'm not trying to compete with other organizations. We are Arya Samajas. But other organizations have popularized themselves throughout the world because of their massive feeding projects. We look at South Africa. I can speak from a South African point of view. The Hare Krishna Food for Life scheme is feeding thousands every day. When we look at the Ramakrishna Center, they are feeding thousands also. And then when we ask ourselves, as Arya Samaj, why aren't we doing that? Because those same people that go for feed and go for food can be sitting here in your auditorium for satsang. So we have taken a decision, and I'm using South Africa as an example. We've taken a decision that we can also do that. We can also feed. We have created a foundation which is called the HEAL Foundation. And the HEAL Foundation is the brainchild of Swami Vedanand. And so with that, we're producing bulk food, every day to feed an average of 2,800 per unit. That means you come with your bakkie, you come with your vehicle, and you take food from the center, and you can go and feed 500 people, you can go and feed 300 people. The food is cooked for you, but it's your responsibility to uplift and go and distribute. Think about that for Nairobi. Maybe you could plan something of that nature. Not only does it look at a situation where you are doing social service, but it's also forcing people to drop all their inhibitions and be part of the Seva project. So, the Arya Samaj principle of Seva can promote a sense of global citizenship and sharing responsibility. When applied to international relations, this can inspire nations to work towards common goals like eradicating poverty, promoting health, and protecting the environment. We all watch we watch different news programs. And what do we see? United Nations taking trucks of food into North Africa, Sudan, Somalia, and various countries that are with children with bloated stomachs, and they are battling with kwashiorkor, and they are distributing food, not forgetting that they are also feeding the people in the Gaza. But when we look at that, is a huge scale, but we can start at home helping people that need it. When we look at the world as one big family, the philosophy of the Arya Samaj teachings emphasize the concept then that Vasudeva Kutumbakam has to be there as part of our life. The idea that the entire world is one family. And this concept is a direct call for global unity, transcending geographical boundaries. I was speaking to Pandit Mohingi the other day, and we were just having a general conversation. We have borders that have been created, and borders that have been created by colonialists, dictators, and people that ruled the African continent. But we are one big continent. We should have been with no borders. Okay? The concept is a direct call for global unity. And this concept is that the Samaj advocates for fostering mutual respect and cooperation among all human beings. And when we say, sometimes we tend to become so inclusive only, and we say, this one is a relative, and the other is a stranger, that is when we start speaking in a very small-minded way. Because the entire world is a family. And this is what Arya Samaj says. We belong to the greater family. This principle also aligns with the modern ideals of global diplomacy. The United Nations at the moment, our Dr. Shaney was quite involved with United Nations, and when we speak to him, look up to him with respect, because the United Nations is a body that is working towards creating world dialogue to prevent a lot of factionalism, prevent wars and loss of lives. So the United Nations is looking at global diplomacy with the Arya Samaj, peace building, promoting harmony, and also beyond narrow nationalistic or sectarian lines. I know it's very difficult because loyalty to your country is very important. You become passionate when certain things happen in terms of your culture, in terms of your religion, even if it's in Timbuktu, even if it's in Alaska. It does not affect you, but if Hindus are affected, then we all start saying, look at what's happening in that area, look at what's happening in that area, and then it starts building up in you that negativity towards other people and other countries. So we're saying that we see everyone as humanity, as one interconnected family. And this can help towards peace building. And the Arya Samaj can lead in this direction. Instead of being purely leading towards nationalism, but if we work towards peace building and cooperation, that will make us an organization streets ahead or way ahead of fundamental thinking. When we look at the world as one family, the Arya Samaj message fosters a sense of global solidarity. We transcend national and cultural barriers. In international politics, this principle can promote diplomacy over conflict, collaboration over competition, and compassion over self-interest. When we look at the European situation and we see two countries that speak the same language, the same color, the same thinking, but they are killing each other. Between Russia and Ukraine, it's all about land and it's all about power. And yet, they are one nation. And when we look at the Middle East, we see the same situation arising. And what is that? It's greed, just like in the Ukraine, it's religious fanaticism that creates pain and suffering. So we say, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. And this principle of working for the welfare of all is deeply rooted in our Vedic teachings. The Arya Samaj ideology, it promotes a vision of a world where the focus is on common good, peace, and well-being. This principle encourages policies and actions that aim at universal welfare, transcending selfish national interest. And we say, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya. May all be happy. May all be free from illness. And this prayer embodies the spirit of global well-being. On a global scale, this philosophy advocates for collective well-being, supporting systems that work towards sustainable development, human rights, and equitable resource distribution. These are the foundations of long-term global peace and security. I may be focusing too much on the global aspects in terms of what's happening around me, but this is the realities that we are living in. When we look at democracy and collective decision-making, even here in Kenya, not so long ago, the streets were burning. Not so long ago, you were sitting in your homes with your doors locked and your windows barred because you did not know what was going to happen. You were scared because you didn't want to even go out into the streets because the power of people that were singing and dancing and burning and tires. Let me tell you, I've lived through that and we still experience it. Can be one of the most frightening experiences. And I know what you went through. 2 months ago, I was even changing my mind to even come to Nairobi. But for myself, that it seemed like the right thing to do, and I came. And luckily I came because you have a most beautiful country. So, you also have democratic issues in your country. Arya Samaj works towards democratic principles. We have democratic issues even in our Pratinidhi Sabhas. We have democratic issues even in our Arya Samaj little affiliates. So we need to start working towards collective decision making, accountability, and the involvement of all individuals in shaping social and political environment. One of the most important things, and this word is something that we bandy around, and that is truth, satya. And truth is considered the foundation of justice and morality. The principle of truth is linked to transparency in governance and in public life, which is essential for political harmony. Ahimsa or non-violence, though not directly emphasized as part of Arya Samaj doctrine, it is in and it's enshrined in various ways in a way we practice. When we look at Satyam Vada Dharmachara, speak the truth, practice righteousness. Swamiji also said that. If we can speak the truth and practice righteousness, then we will have countries and we will have communities that will be guided by moral principles, and that welfare of people is paramount. When we look at violence, what is it that we look at? We look at pain and suffering. Arya Samaj is saying, let's look at good governance. If you read the Light of Truth, Satyar Prakash, a very important part of the Light of Truth is about how you manage your organizations, how the government needs to be organized, how political leaders need to carry themselves. That is the most important thing. We have a blueprint, by the way. And there was a time when I was thinking and talking to some of the politicians in South Africa. Let's cull some of that information and send it to ex-President Jacob Zuma for all the nonsense that he was doing. Because that's what good governance is all about. Neither let us strike against the old, a very important one. Neither let us strike against the old, nor against the young. And let us protect the father, the mother, and our dear wealth. This verse highlights the ethical responsibility of protecting all members of your society, all members of your family, which translates into just and moral political leadership at a global level. In terms of governance, Arya Samaj supports for democracy and participatory systems that can serve as a model for fostering inclusive governance globally. It encourages the respect for individual voices and consensus building, which are vital for both national, local, and international peace. There is no institution that I can think of, and especially Hindu organizations, that exist without any challenges. And I can tell you one thing, I am sitting in a hot seat just like Dr. Cheney. And the complex situations that we are placed in, one is personality. Second is jealousy. And the third thing is that people are not willing to let go in terms of their ego. So these are the challenges that we face. And I laud people that are in leadership positions, not because I'm saying I'm part of that, is that you have to put up with all the challenges. Swamiji created the Arya Samaj, but I don't think he considered conflict situation and giving us conflict resolution solutions. But in conclusion, I would like to just talk about environmental responsibilities. The Vedic tradition reveres nature. You've heard that from the previous two speakers. The first one is about earth. The second one, our Benji also spoke about environmental issues. And promote sustainable use of natural resources. The Arya Samaj places strong emphasis on living in harmony with nature. We conducted the yajna Our offerings were of natural ingredients because it permeates and goes out into the greater atmosphere. And when we say humanity is a threat and the earth, which we need to treat the earth with respect, we say, Mata Bhumihi Putra Aham Prithivyaha. The earth is my mother and I am her son. I would like to just conclude in saying, firstly, the 10 principles of the Arya Samaj is a guide for us to live and is a guide for us to prosper. It is a guide for us to become successful, and it is a guide for us as individuals to grow. The Arya Samaj is, when it was framed within the broader context of the Vedic culture, has provided a blueprint for achieving global and social and political harmony. They offered ethical guidance for building a world-based truth, equality, justice, and mutual respect for everybody. Swamiji focused on education, non-discrimination, environmental issues, and collective well-being, so that we can address many of these pressing issues through his Satyarth Prakash. We also look at fostering peace and cooperation across diverse societies and nations. And I would like to just conclude in saying that advocating the principles like universal brotherhood, equality, truth, justice, Arya Samaj offers timeless values. It is not an outdated organization. It still has relevance that resonates with the contemporary global challenges, incorporating the ideals into international relations. We need to take that beyond our borders, and we are talking about that. And I would like to conclude in saying that let us work towards creating a world that is more peaceful, equitable, and sustainable. My namaste to you.